What's going on, guys? Hey, man, I'm just going through my inventory of hooks for the upcoming season in 2026. We're past Christmas and we're really close to the 1st of January. And here at Matt Tuttle Fishing, you're always just constantly getting ready for the next season. And, my season was cut just a little short, and Randy's too. And I fell ill there the 1st of September, and I've been just healing since. And so finally, getting back to where I feel good enough to compete, and finally we're past that. And so really looking for, hey, 2026 for a new season starting on the Crappie Masters. And hey, their schedule came out, and I was looking at their schedule, and I'm like, man, I wonder what, wonder how we're going to fish those. And so I wanted to kind of take you along the schedule here a little bit for the Randy and I are going to be traveling. And our travels are going to start in Lake Talquin, Florida. And, Lake Talquin, Florida has become Randy and I's favorite lake to fish, just because I think, too, it has a bunch of, it's primarily dominated by black crappie, and they have big, giant black crappie. And, I look back and reflect on 2025, and, with all of the hoopla and the debates on forward-facing sonar, I said we are the epitome of forward-facing sonar doesn't catch them for you. And because day one of last year's event was so frustrating. And, Lake Talquin, Florida's got a bunch of fish in it and a bunch of 2-pounders. And I remember the first morning we fired up the screen, and I go, they're all 2-pound plus fish. And I couldn't give them a bite. We couldn't figure out how to get these fish to fire. And the entire day, my screen's full of 2-pound fish all day, and I cannot get them to bite no matter what we threw. And we fished with some of the best tackle in the country, and we just couldn't figure it out. And of course, we tipped jigs with minnows. We hooked minnows and threw them at them. We had all of the plastics, the hand-tied jigs, everything. Couldn't figure it out. And so we ended up coming in with 3 fish that day. And, of course, guys got them. And we're like, man, we were around the fish. A lot of times you come in, you don't do well because you just weren't around them. Well, we were around them. We couldn't give them a bite. So we're sitting at the house that night, and Randy says, hey, we're going to make an adjustment. And boy, was that adjustment key. And we went out the next day and put 5 crappies together that weighed almost 12 pounds. I think it was 1192, if I remember correct. I might be off of an ounce or two. But, we end up having a 292 and a 279 or a 280 in the bag. But that's just, making those adjustments is the make or break of your tournament. And so we're really looking forward to going back and getting started at Lake Talquin, Florida. And plus, it's just in Florida, and we're not in Ohio. So anytime. Now, last year, it snowed, and it shut me down for a couple of days because they don't have snow plows or salt trucks. And I couldn't get from our rental to the lake because it was just iced up. And so, but we still fished in 50-degree, almost 60-degree weather come tournament day. So still better than around here. Then that's the end of January, January 23rd, January 24th, and then February 20th, 21st, we're at Lake D'Arbonne, Louisiana. And not only is that a favorite, you can get some really good crawfish, and and the hospitality and the way that people treat you at Lake D'Arbonne, Louisiana, you don't want to leave. And we've had such amazing interactions, and and then the fishing's amazing. You're going to catch 75 to 100 fish a day, easy, if you want to catch them all. And that's me. If I want to bite and I want to set the hook. And this is the lake that one day we had fish in the well, and a 1.5 pound fish wasn't going to get it anymore, but I was still setting a hook on every one of them. And Randy put his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, hey, if it ain't 2 pounds, don't jerk on it. Okay. but man, I just love to catch them. So with that being said, uh, Lake D'Arbonne is going to be February 20th and February 21st. And so, those fish are going to be probably relating pretty close to the river channel, but next to the flats. So there may be a few fish up there scoping around on flats. And then, but I think there's going to be some fish in the river channel yet that time of year. Of course, all based on weather and such. But then the next one is Grenada Lake, Mississippi, March 13th and 14th. Man, that lake is just a phenomenon. Taking 16, 17 pounds a day to be in the hunt at the end of the tournament. Grenada Lake, not much more need to be said about that, but we'll be there March 13th, 14th. And then Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma, April 17th, 18th. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're looking for a destination lake that you just want to go catch a bunch of crappies that are willing to bite, like if you get within a foot or two, and sometimes I've had a fish come clear across the screen to eat the jig, but Lake Eufaula has crappies that want to bite, and you're going to have a great time. And it's a long drive for us. All these tournaments are long drives. Lake Talcon, Florida is a 13.5-hour drive. Lake D'Arbonne's a 12-hour drive. Grenada Lake is the same. It's a 10 or it's at least a 10 to 12-hour drive. Lake Eufaula, Oklahoma is almost a 15-hour drive for us. So, all these are big travel tournaments for us, but very well worth it because, Crappie Masters, they do a fantastic job of putting us on these lakes at, the prime time, and we absolutely have a ball. And I'm going to tell you something. When you're fishing the Crappie Masters, you got to bring your A game, and you can't have a bad day. You have to catch them every day. So that drives me and my competitive self, and I just, Randy and I continue to strive to get better and better each event and each year. So, and then sliding on into May is Kentucky Lake, and who doesn't like to fish Kentucky Lake? If you've never fished brush piles or stake beds, and you want to get more experience in fishing stake beds, go to Kentucky Lake and just spend a week or weekend there, and you will fish 150 to 200 stake beds. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of great eating. There's a lot of good food places, and it's just gorgeous at Kentucky Lake. So that's got us there in May. And sliding into June is Lake Truman. And, Truman Lake is a frustrating lake. We've been on fish and show up and the fish are just gone. Like they weren't even there. And that happened to us this past year. Had a bunch of fish going in some areas and some trees off of a channel swing. And we roll in. The only thing there is just trash fish. And we're like, well, where did they go? And we spent most of the day still trying to find and relocate that school. Still caught fish, but, it's just Truman can be here today, gone tomorrow. And that happened to us. We had a really good bag one day, and the next day the fish were just positioned different. And Randy doesn't let me forget that was a tournament that we lost like 15 jigs, and that's not normal. So I went through the jigs that day, and had something to do with the wind blowing 46 miles an hour and the fish being in the middle of the trees. So that was a fun day. Not really, but it was a fun day. And then I think the fun one is going to be coming up in September at Wren Lake. It's the Bracket Showdown. This past year, the Bracket Showdown was at Lake Fork. If you haven't ever had a destination lake, go to Lake Fork. Lake Fork is full of crappie, and you'll have a great time. And you don't need to know any hot spots. You just put your boat in, go find some trees, and you'll start catching crappies. It's that simple. It's that easy. Now, if you're talking about tournament grade fish, now you got to do a little bit more hunting and pecking. But just to go whack a bunch of fish that average 1.25 pounds to 1.5 pounds, and mixed in with almost about every one of them is a 2-pound fish, Lake Fork, Texas. But anyway, Wren Lake, now we're going there in a time that we've never been there. Randy and I have never been there in September. We like fishing. Wren Lake is usually in the spring, and they have the bushes, and the water was up this past year, and we were in the bushes. We had the boat floating in a foot of water, uh, get back here with jig and cork like we do back at home. And even though we didn't have the fish to win the tournament, we had a fabulous time. We had those B&M triple tails going and Mike's hand tied jigs and under a cork, and we were having a time. So it's going to set up a little bit differently this time around. And but the bracket showdown, if you haven't fished tournament where it's it's really exciting, you get paired up and you got to you're only head to head to who you get paired up with, and then there's a losers bracket, and then you have the championship day, and like Blake and his team have done a fantastic job with setting up that bracket showdown. And this year, that bracket showdown being on Wren is going to make it even all that more interesting. And I bet it's going to be hot. I mean, September is not fall yet, so I think it's going to be a really warm day. And then the championship, which is in October this year, has not been determined yet, so that's still up in the air. And so, guys, I just wanted to kind of give you a little prelude. And all those tournaments, the cool thing is we kind of chased the spawn there for a little while. I mean, we're starting in January in Lake Talquin, where they're not spawning, but they're a pre-spawn. And then Darbone are going to be pre-spawn, spawn. And then Lake Eufaula, they're probably going to be, again, there's going to be pre-spawn and spawn, but all depending on the weather. If we have a warm stretch, we could catch them spawning. And then Kentucky Lake, we should be on spawners and also post-spawn. See, folks in Ohio, our spawn happens primarily, the bulk of it happens in the month of May. We have some that start in April, late April, with some warm days. Then May is the month that it gets really warm and stays warm. And this past couple of Mays here in Ohio, it was the last 2 weeks of May before it got warm and stayed warm. And so we've even had spawning crappies clear into June. And we're starting to act like Canada up here in the northern part of the world. Everything takes so long to warm up to get there. But we basically chased the spawn for the first few events, the pre-spawn, the spawn, and then but that's what really, I've been asked, well, what makes the difference between you a weekend fisherman or you a tournament fisherman? And I've always said, tournament fishermen, we can't just hope it works out. We have to go make it work out. And so we don't show up in one area and like, hey, we're done here. There's tournaments that we may burn 30 gallons of fuel in trying to figure out the pattern and practice. And then tournament day, if we're fortunate and lucky that they still are there in those areas, we can just catch them. But a lot of times on tournament day, because of cold fronts, and that time of year, spring is notorious for cold fronts. And Lake Eufaula has fronts that we ain't never heard of before, where people have tornado shelters and all this stuff, and it's a very violent area. And I always said I thought I knew what a thunderstorm was, and then I went to Oklahoma. Your guys' weather in Oklahoma, Mother Nature there needs meds. I mean, because it's just a whole another level of storms. So, but that's the cool thing. We get to meet amazing people all over the country. And, we get to fish against the best crappie fishermen in the country. And we have made some great friendships there. And we've had people stop us at gas stations that have watched our videos or have seen us talk about fishing on social media. And we love that. And we thank you so very much. So if you see us out and about and you see Matt Tuttle fishing, Randy Buzzard fishing, you see us out and about, stop us. I mean, we've got something to give you. I mean, we'll give you baits. We might even give you a rod. We've got hats. We got all kinds of stuff because we just love the interaction with everybody in the public and the ones who follow us and support us. So, hey, we just appreciate you all. Can't wait for the season to start. We'll see you when it's time.